Yeah.
Thank you very much. How did you do it?
Is that a recorder? Yeah. What is this stuff? What is this stuff?
See, you don't have to be real bright to succeed in this industry. I went off and left my new slacks, so I've got to wear blue jeans, and I apologize for that. Let me begin by telling you that there's a certain presumption here, and that is that all of you know all about what we do in terms of product consumption and usage. The entire purpose of this time together, having done 8 meetings up here where a lot of the focus has been on product efficacy, is to literally get down to the nitty-gritty of how you do the business based on legitimate scholastic analysis as opposed to theory. And let me explain what I mean by that. As most of you know, I've been real blessed to be in this industry since April of '86, but an amazing thing happened shortly after my agreeing to write for Success Magazine. Back in the early '90s, Success Magazine was a legitimate magazine operating out in New York, and I received a phone call from Scott DeGarmo, and Scott asked me, they decided they wanted to create a division of MLM, or at least one article a week or month or whatever, based on network marketing, and he asked me if I would be contributing editor. He had read a book of mine that he liked, and I agreed. I was very flattered by it. And so for several years, my responsibility was to literally fly all over the world and interview women and men who were all making $300,000 a month or more. That was their stipulation. And then I was to come back, and rather than profile any companies and make it an advertisement, Success didn't want to do that. They wanted me to share the ideas and the strategies that a lot of these women and men from all over the world had employed to succeed financially. So I did that for a number of years. Had a great time doing it. It was a lot of fun, met a lot of wonderful people, most of whom earned a lot more than I ever made, so I don't want to pretend that I'm the brightest bulb in the chandelier. But what's neat is, when you rub shoulders with men and women like this, you learn certain concepts and ideas that allow them to propel themselves to the very top. Needless to say, in most of the circumstances, they represented products or technologies that were exceptionally good. They weren't overpriced. As a matter of fact, in a number of states, it is literally an illegal pyramid by definition if we sell a product that's been marked up strictly for the purposes of compensating a downline. I don't know if you knew that. One of the provinces in Canada, Montreal, if they can prove that a company is selling a nutritional supplement or jewelry or anything of value comparable to other retail items in the same category for more merely to compensate the downline, that is by definition an illegal pyramid. Interesting. And that's why a lot of companies get put out of business, is they're really just padding the price. As most of you know, if you've run corollaries between our 9 products and our 3 systems, first of all, 4 of them don't have any competition. So you can't really run competitive price structuring because you can't find our products in GNC or in the health food stores, Whole Foods, whatever. So we're in kind of a unique position in that we don't have a lot of competition for 4 of our products. Those that we do, we've run corollaries, and ours are a lot less. That having been said, my theory, my speculation anyway, is that all of you have been to these product meetings, you've been through the products, you've heard over and over and over how the products work. And those of you who haven't, I would recommend you get back to the person who invited you here, and especially take a look at PubMed. I've been staggered by the fact that I've never seen a company in the network marketing industry that has so many double-blind clinical trials that have been published in major medical journals. It basically renders debate against our technology impossible. Now, if people want to argue, they can. But they're not arguing with you making a pitch for a product. They're arguing with a number of well-published scientific articles, some of which specifically relate to our formulation, not just the ingredients. So if you haven't been to PubMed and availed yourself of these double-blind studies, you need to do that. I'm starting out by saying that only to let you know the purpose of today is to cover the things that I've learned that QSS teaches in aggregate that have essentially allowed people to rise to levels they never dreamed possible. Now, I understand that most people are concerned when people like me start talking about big money. And I've had people say, Yarnell, I can't even say that. I would be embarrassed to say to a person, hey, if you knew for sure it were possible to earn $30,000 to $50,000 a month or $100,000 a month and retire in 18 months to 2 years, is that a business you want to look at? And I have people all over everywhere, all over the world saying, I can't say that. Well, I got news for you. What I learned at the highest level, certainly beyond my competence and my abilities when I interviewed these great women and men from all over the world, was $50,000 a month in network marketing is chump change. That is not big money to these people. The people who make it to the top of this field are people who do things insane, like flying Ronald and Nancy Reagan to the Super Bowl in their private jets. That's what Dexter and Bertie Yeager did out of Charlotte, North Carolina. So just understand something. With the right mindset, with the right strategies in place, you can make whatever you want. But here's the caveat. It's very imperative that I say this right up front. This is the hardest business I've ever seen. Let's not putz around about it. First of all, the statistical likelihood of any of us finding a good company at the right time is about like playing Powerball. Seriously. There have been 10,000 companies that have launched, out of which 14 of them have made it to $1 billion in sustained volume. That means your odds of picking a good company are 14/100ths of 1%. That's like playing Powerball. So when people argue with you or throw up objections to our industry, it's based on sound reasoning. There's nothing wrong with their rationale. They've got legitimate reasons to be afraid of our industry. It's a hard business because you've got to talk to a lot of people. But armed with the right mindset, which is what I'm going to start out covering, and armed with the right training tools, we already know Keyvana's got legitimate products. That's proven with hard science. The question is, if the shortest distance between, well, let me just say this. Let's say that you're at 0 in Keyvana and your goal, to use a horribly large number that's irrational to most people, let's say your goal is to go from 0 to 100,000 a month. The shortest distance between 0 to 100,000 a month is a straight line. We all know that from geometry. That's a geometric fact. Have you ever stopped to think about what the longest distance is? If the shortest distance is from A to B, it's a straight line. What's the longest distance? I submit to you that the longest distance is a zigzag, a shortcut. What makes this business so complicated is, first of all, it's hard to get a good company. You don't even know how to perform basic due diligence if you're like most citizens. Secondly, even if you do find a good company, it's exceptionally hard work, and most people hate this industry and will tell you you're a moron for doing it. Who likes rejection? I hate it. We all do. So it's a tough business. But the shortest distance from where you sit right now, whatever you're earning, to $100,000 a month is a straight line. It's applying principles that are core value-based, ethical, honest, no hype, no spin. Here's what we've got. Yes, it's tough. Here's how you get from A to B. That's how we go about it. So I think rather than becoming proponents of our industry and industry advocates, because it's such a wonderful industry. No, it isn't. It's the hardest business in the world. Let's get over this need to hype it and spin it and add hyperbole to the presentation. I think that's preposterous. But when you do, blunder into a ground floor opportunity like Keyvana, like we have done, you do find that 14/100ths of 1% luck hits you, and you get into a deal like this, and you do understand how hard it is, and you do understand what you're up against. You get the right mindset, the right work principles. From 0 to 100 is easy. There's nothing complicated about it at all, assuming you've got a good work ethic. And that's the final point I want to make. You don't slide your way to wealth in Keyvana or any other great company. You've got to work real, real hard. And it's very important that we understand that. It's just that even though you got to work hard, there are certain principles that will allow you to get from A to B faster. It's a straight line. That's the whole purpose of this training. So what I want to talk to you about, first of all, is the main difference we want to get across to people when we're setting up for this whole idea of the mindset. You know, what's the main action, or what's your definitive major purpose? That's really the first element of QSS training. What's the purpose? I said,